Emergency parking protocol, Andre. That's what she said. Like blocking my whole garage with two Jeeps was some kind of favor, like I was supposed to clap for getting robbed of my own space. The thing is, I'd been running my auto repair business out of that garage for 8 years. Paid for every inch. Bills on time, not a cent owed to anybody. And suddenly, just for standing in my own driveway, I was the neighborhood criminal. The more I pushed back, the more it felt like I was being pushed into some twisted game I never agreed to play. You ever had that happen? Like somebody else picks the rules and you don't even get a warning? Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec. Name's Andre Walker, and all I ever wanted was a quiet spot to work, fix a few cars, help some neighbors, nothing fancy. End of Maple Street, Greenwood Heights. Garage bought and paid, deed in the drawer. That Friday started normal. Helped Mrs. Peterson with her carburetor, sipped her lemonade, already thinking about the brake jobs lined up for the weekend. Big money work, keep the lights on, maybe grab groceries that didn't come from the clearance rack. I rolled home around 6, noticed more cars on the street than usual, figured, okay, maybe a birthday party, no big deal. But the garage door was closed, which was odd, and my remote wouldn't budge it. Had to lift it by hand, and that's when I saw them. Jeep Wrangler blocking my car lift, Grand Cherokee blocking my tools, both parked so tight I couldn't squeeze a cat between them. For a second, I thought, am I losing it? Did I walk into the wrong garage? But there was my workbench, shoved against the wall, tools scattered like someone had redecorated without asking. Shop compressor unplugged, computer stuffed in a corner, floor jack useless behind the Cherokee. The whole thing arranged like a moving crew took measurements. Like this wasn't parking, it was a takeover. I was standing there, trying to process, when I heard those heels clicking down my driveway. Lewis Mitchell, HOA president, strutting up with her folder and that practice smile that stops just short of her eyes. Good timing, Andre, she chirps, like finding two strange Jeeps in my garage was normal. The HOA board held a sudden meeting this afternoon, and your garage has been designated as crisis community parking until we resolve the street congestion. Like she was telling me trash day moved, not that she'd just hijacked my whole livelihood. I said, this is my private garage, Lewis. You can't just, but she cut me off, all cool and legal. Neighborhood needs outweigh individual concerns during a crisis, Andre. I'm sure you understand. I didn't. I really didn't. I had customers waiting, bills due, and now my shop was jammed by vehicles I'd never seen before. I started snapping pictures. Lewis stepped in front, waving HOA bylaws. Section 4.7, Crisis Parking Measures, she said, flashing official papers like a badge. Thing is, every time I tried to check behind that blue tarp in the corner, something lumpy, hidden, she shifted to block my view. And there was Greg Foster, HOA treasurer, hanging back by the curb, sweating bullets and looking everywhere but at me. I tried Greg. Explain this to me. Crisis parking? Never heard of it. He fidgeted, mumbled about a new policy. Unanimous vote. Except me, of course. Lewis cut in. Except Andre wasn't present, but the decision stands. And then she made a note on her folder, my address at the top. We'll be posting the compliance notice tomorrow, she said, with that same frozen smile. You know that moment when you realize you're the villain in someone else's story? Lewis whipped out her phone, snapping photos of me standing in front of my own garage, narrating like I was being added to some neighborhood watch list. She was documenting resident response to crisis measures. Every photo made me look like the troublemaker. Greg bailed, leaving his folder behind. Lewis scooped it up. Inside, I saw addresses. All houses on my side of the street. All people who looked like me. The pattern was hard to miss. As the sun set, I had to figure out how to fix 3 sets of brakes with no tools. My hand tools were reachable, but everything that made my business run, the lift, the diagnostics, the compressor, trapped behind those Jeeps. I'd have to work outside, on my back, by flashlight. And that's when I found an envelope under my door. HOA letterhead, another citation, accusing me of hostile behavior toward volunteer board members. Next to it, a fresh scratch down my truck. That's when it stopped being a parking dispute and turned into a siege. I tore through my own copy of the HOA bylaws. There is no section 4.7, no mention of crisis parking. Lewis had invented the whole thing. Called the management company next morning. No record of emergency measures, no extraordinary powers. When I called Lewis, She sounded annoyed I'd even checked, lectured me about fiduciary responsibility and decisive leadership. Translation: we make it up as we go, and you're the problem for not playing along. And then came the anonymous complaints about chemical storage, permits, safety violations. She told me a city inspector was coming Monday at 9 a.m. Same morning my customers' cars were supposed to be ready. Word spread fast. Suddenly, neighbors I'd known for years wouldn't look me in the eye. Kids wouldn't play out front. Someone even handed out flyers, concerned parents meeting, protecting our children from dangerous precedents. My garage, photographed through the open door, captioned like I was a public menace. By Sunday, the community center was packed. Lewis ran a PowerPoint show, charts, bar graphs, my work truck labeled unpermitted commercial vehicle storage, oil containers labeled unregulated chemical waste. Photos of me in my own doorway, cropped to look angry. Every accusation sounded official: EPA, city codes, insurance rates. I watched Greg stammer through a financial report, clearly reading a script. But there was a crack. Claire Hopkins, a city inspector, looked confused. She pulled me aside, asking about the citations. These regulation numbers don't match any city code, she said. I showed her Lewis's text messages, and Claire promised to review the paperwork before Monday's inspection. Finally, someone was asking the right questions. Still, the isolation campaign worked. By Monday, every job I had was canceled. Parents told me not to talk to their kids. My business was wrecked before a single official stepped inside. The inspection took an hour. Claire went through my storage, my records, every inch. Andre, your operation is cleaner than half the commercial shops I inspect. Whoever filed these complaints was either clueless or lying. She checked the garage, still blocked. The HOA can't just commandeer your property. This is trespassing. Greg showed up afterward, dropping papers everywhere. Claire spotted pre-filled violation forms, all with identical handwriting. Lewis's handwriting. Complaint calls, all from the HOA office. It was a setup, weeks in the making, targeting me step by step. Then the police showed up. Officer Bennett, responding to noise complaints. He checked my logs, my equipment, everything in order. Mr. Walker, filing bogus police reports is a criminal offense. Document everything and call me if this continues. Now it was on record. That's when I stopped playing defense. I billed the HOA for 4 days of unauthorized vehicle storage, $1,400, fair market rate, and hand-delivered the invoice to Lewis. She showed up furious, waving her own pile of fake fines and emergency compliance fees, $2,000 for non-cooperation, threatening to place a lien on my property. She wasn't even subtle anymore, just desperate. Right then, Claire pulled up, official city car, folder in hand. Ms. Mitchell, the complaints you filed were fabricated. The inspection found no violations. You may be facing criminal charges. Lewis tried to bluff, but her voice was shaky. Greg finally cracked, dumping his folder on the table at the next meeting, surveillance schedules, pre-filled forms, everything. You should have seen the room. Neighbors watching Lewis unravel, Claire collecting evidence, Officer Bennett confirming fake police reports. Greg, trembling but loud. Lewis planned this from the start. Andre never did anything wrong. She just wanted him out. When it all collapsed, neighbors who'd believed the worst came over, some with cookies, some just to apologize. Lewis was arrested, charges of harassment, false reporting, conspiracy. The city supervised a full HOA restructure. Turns out, she'd been blackmailing board members, keeping files on everyone, ready to use at a moment's notice. Her real fear? That someone like me, independent, successful, not needing her approval, could remind the whole neighborhood that her power was just smoke and mirrors. Weeks later, the garage was mine again. Neighbors who'd looked away now stopped to chat. My tools were back in my hands. I set up a community workshop, teaching folks to change oil and brakes, turning the place she tried to turn into a battlefield into something useful, something that actually brought people together. That's what real community looks like, you know? Justice isn't just about someone going to jail, though Lewis got her 6 months plus restitution. It's about people seeing through the performance, recognizing the difference between leadership and control. The next time you hear about emergency measures or special authority, ask to see it in writing. Don't just trust the voice with the biggest folder and the sharpest heels. So, now when I crack open that garage door, I see faces that look back with trust, not fear. The real payback? What she built on fear, we rebuilt on trust. And every time my tools ring out against those walls, I know nobody gets to take my space or my voice away, no matter what title they print on their flyers. How about you? What would you have done if it was your garage? Drop your thoughts below. And hey, if you felt this one, let me know. Kind words always help me keep telling these stories. And until next time, keep your space yours and your voice loud.